Market Musings podcast, where today we welcome a private investor on the podcast. He's been investing for 15 years and here to talk to us. Welcome, Eddy. Hello.
Hi, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Really well. Thank you very much.
Good.
Got a beer in my hand.
Oh, good.
And, looking forward to having a chat with you.
That is a staple of the podcast, as Kenny will attest.
Yeah, well, I did instruct Eddy yesterday to possibly have a beer in his hand, but unfortunately, I only had two in the fridge, and I drank them this afternoon, sitting out in the sun. So,
I was certainly, that was part of the prep to have a beer in my hand. So, Birra Moretti is my beer of choice. So that's
your beer of choice. Yeah, and it's a good picture, isn't it? I think of the bloke.
Is.
You know, he's obviously, whether he's gone to church on a Sunday or whatever, he's just having a chill out on a Sunday afternoon with his pint. It's a nice image, I think, of that.
Yeah, a strong tash as well. So,
steady tash.
Yeah.
You can keep Moretti. I don't like it at all.
Oh, really?
Oh no.
Oh. No, it's one of my favourites.
Yeah, no, I like
it's too dear as well. I'm tight.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, it's great. It's great to have you on, Eddy. And I think we've only actually had. I think you might only be a third private investor. So it's always good to get somebody on, and especially somebody that's had a lot of recent success, such as yourself. And you're quite vocal on Twitter. I've been doing a bit of digging. And I love your pinned tweet, which kind of gives us your investing journey. The plan is to come on to that later.
Sure.
But anyone we get on here, Eddy, we like to sort of dig deep into their background and see what they've done in not just their investing journey, but what they've done in business and what they do for a living. If you don't do the markets full time, what your education was like, what your childhood was like, what motivates you, inspires you, who you look up to. Anything. It's really a free for all.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, and I really appreciate you inviting me on. Obviously, the invitation came completely out of the blue, but it was nice to get the invite and an opportunity to speak to you guys because I suppose there are quite a few people that will be able to relate to me because I don't do it full time, as we previously discussed. I've been in, for my sins, I've been in sales all my life. Started off in the car game. I was started selling cars when I was 18, roughly speaking. I think I first got into car sales because I just wanted a brand new demo as a company car. I didn't think that I'd actually be able to do so well at selling them. And then out of the blue, I actually thought, okay, I'm quite good at this. People will always amaze because I had absolutely no interest in cars whatsoever. I'm not a petrol head. I'm not somebody that gets a wow factor in cars. So I think whenever I spoke to colleagues and they would want discussions about cars, I'd slip away because I wasn't interested. What I was interested in, which I suppose goes hand in hand with my journey with shares, was making money. That was a big driving factor for me. I've always been money orientated. That's what's always been the forefront of anything I've done in my work career and even with the shares. So that's my big drive and that's what got me through the car. I mean, it's quite a while. I probably spent about 10 to 12 years, roughly speaking, in car sales, working with the lower sort of brands and working my way up. And my final position was with BMW, where I thoroughly enjoyed spending sort of 7 years with. I'm not. What are your guys' interest in cars? Is that your batch as well? Do you have an interest in cars?
They go from A to B for me. That's about it. It's just a means to an end. My wife's got a nice Saab 9.3 Aero convertible, so she likes her cars, so she drives about in that.
Nice.
Yep. So what got you into? I mean, going back before the car sales career, what did you want to do when you were at school, or did you have plans? When you were 14, 15 years old.
Not. I'll be honest. I didn't at all. finding the nicest way of saying this. I mean, I scraped through school. I scraped through college. So when I was at school, I wouldn't say I was naughty, would probably be a little bit harsh. I was easily distracted, I think the teachers used to like to say. So I like to have a chat. I like to do anything sort of but work. But I did okay. I came away with GCSEs. I then went to college and came away with A levels as well. But the only thing that I really ever wanted to do when I was there was play football. So I was really, really keen footballer. Never got to any sort of high standard, but I really sort of enjoyed that side of it. So being at college, being at school, I was always in the teams, and that's sort of what got me through my time there. I didn't have any interest personally in going to university. I think my sort of character and attention span, I think if I went to university, I think those 3 years would have been a drink up for me, I think. So I think I made the right decision at that point to call it a day with education and then go into full-time employment.
Yes. It's bizarre when you're saying a drink up. It's a bit of a side story, but my son is in the Navy and he's only 18. And he phoned last night and said, we're doing a Centurion tonight. Yeah. I said, all right, what's a Centurion? Well, we do 100 shots of beer in 100 minutes. And I was like, okay, this is not going to end well. So I got a text at 54. It said, we're 54 in, still standing. And then I got nothing else after that. So
that's a strong effort at 54 still standing. I'm not sure I'd still be standing after.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you get in a shot. Do you maybe get 50 mils? I'm not sure. But you do 150 mils is 5 litres a lager in an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? I remember I was in the Royal Navy Reserves, and one of the things that luckily my birthday is in August, so we weren't actually around when it was my birthday. But if it was your birthday on the drill night, you had to do a yard, but it wasn't just a yard of ale because they'd put all sorts of shite in there, you know. And there were some pretty messy scenes that I won't discuss on air, but not nice.
No, and I I mean, I was the same. I just thought to myself, under guidance and supervision of school and college, I've still managed to be distracted going to university where I'm there to fend for myself, and it's my decision to get out of bed and go to classes. I just knew that wasn't going to be the right mix. Yeah. So it was at that point that I decided to go into the world of working. My first real job was working for my dad, actually. My dad owns here's a bit of a plug for you. My dad owns a picture framing business. So that's my family's background. My dad's got my mum and dad, they've got a picture framing business. They've got a gallery in Ealing, West London, where they sell and frame pictures. And also a workshop and a shop over in Hendon. So that's where I started. Like anything, I think a lot of people, when they're not sure what they want to do, end up in a family business. I'm sure I'm one of many that go down that route. And I was just sort of in the workshop cutting glass, probably more cutting my fingers than cutting glass, but cutting glass, framing pictures, and it was good. It was a good learning experience. It was good to be earning money. It was good to have money to go out with your friends, and certainly got me on the working path. But it was never something I could see myself doing. Even a journey within the business, sort of stepping up and maybe moving more into getting involved in the family business. It was never an interest of mine. I really always had a sort of a knack of getting on with people and talking to people. And I think that's where the car sales element or getting into some sort of sales element came in. And it just happened to be car sales that I fell into.
Okay. And you enjoy the career there?
I did. I loved it. I mean, it was a successful career. I I earned very good money at a young age, money that anyone of that age would snap your arm off for. And I actually got on the property ladder at 22.
Oh, that's good.
I managed to buy a house, and that was purely just through working and saving. So it certainly set me up in life, that position. But I think what took over in the end, and what my change of career was to do is you guys may not be aware, but maybe some people listening are, if they are involved in the motor trade. It's very, very long hours and days. So as a sales executive, you would work Monday to Friday, but get a day off during the week. Now, a day off during the week isn't particularly handy when when no one is around. So that's a bit of a waste. You work every Saturday, and most places will have you working every other Sunday. So no weekends really to yourself. And it was a tough slog, which I did for sort of 10 years.
Right.
And then got to the point where I thought, you know what, I need my weekends back. I need a little bit more of a life, and moved into recruitment about five and a bit years ago now. I moved into recruitment.
Okay.
That's that. Sorry, Mark.
No, that's cool. What cars were you selling?
So originally I started off selling Fords. That's how I got into sort of selling cars, which were great learning curve, great training program. From there, I moved to Honda. Spent a couple of years with Honda. Again, fantastic, really reliable cars, great. And then my last move was BMW. 7 years, and that was fantastic. I joined their early 20s. So, and I think one of my first demos was a BMW convertible. So at 21 years old, driving around in a BMW convertible, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, what's the most expensive car you've ever sold in?
Most expensive car would probably be it would be a BMW and probably an M5 or an M6. They were sort of pushing up towards the 100 grand mark. So it was always funny when you'd sell one of them and someone would just come in with their debit card and 100 grand. You'd be like, "Do you do shares for a living by any chance? Is that how you've made your money?" But tell me more about where you get this money from. But that was probably the most expensive car I sold.
And are you a petrol head?
No,
right,
no.
Okay.
No, absolutely no interest in cars whatsoever.
Right, interesting.
Zero interest. I just I like talking to people. I like getting to know people, and I suppose I like when selling cars, like doing a good service and repeat business. It was satisfying and making money. Those were my driving factors, not the fact that I loved cars. I genuinely didn't and still don't.
So moving on to the current job then, Eddy, you said it was in recruitment.
Yes.
Any specific sector?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. I've stayed within the motor trade, so I suppose if I'm going to move into a different industry and a different job altogether, at least kind of know what you're talking about to some sort of degree. So I joined a firm with no previous experience in recruitment and went into supplying staff into dealerships, into car dealerships. So when speaking to candidates, I knew everything there was to know, which really progressed a career quicker than I suppose most who move into recruitment it would happen. So I hit the ground running. I had a lot of contacts I could speak to straight away. And for the 5 years I was there, I'd like to think it was a very successful 5 years. Up to recently, going back to October last year, I've set up on my own. So I now run my own recruitment firm from home, just a one-man band, but got a lot of loyal clients, and I'm now sort of everything I make now goes into my pocket rather than just earning a percentage of it. So it was good. It was good before all this happened. Now recruitment isn't so great, but I'm sure it'll pick back up again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's quite a strange journey. I mean, obviously, I'm sort of in a similar boat. I left full-time employment in May 19 to set up my own business, which is obviously involved with the markets and various projects. But it's quite strange. It's like a holiday for the first couple of weeks, and then you're like, well, this is it now. I'm on my own. You know, you've just got to sink or swim.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good knowing that you don't need to get in and take some of the shit that you used to have to get in and take. I had a pretty decent job. I was a submarine engineer or submarine simulator engineer. And it was a cracking job and I had great fun in it. But I just wasn't getting my brain taxed because you were sitting waiting in snags or something happening or something breaking. And you got to understand the equipment more and more in the simulators. The snags were easier and easier to fix. So yeah, I was getting bored. So it just seemed like a natural step for me to go and do something. But no, I'm glad that you're out on your own now, and it obviously gives you the time as well. You've not got somebody looking over your shoulder to keep an eye on the markets and what's going on with shares and stocks, etc.
Yeah, no, definitely. The other benefits for me, and again going back to my personal life, is I've got a little boy. He's 5, and I'm not with my ex-partner anymore. And when they're that young and you're working 8 till 6 or whatever it may be, and they go to bed at 6:30, sort of seeing them is sort of at a minimum. So that's been the other great thing, is now I can pick him up from school because I decide when I finish work, and I just get to sort of see him a lot more. So my work and personal life balance since working for myself has certainly improved. My journey to work's improved. I only have to come down the stairs now, which is quite nice. Yeah. So no traffic.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm the opposite of you. I don't see as much as my family now because I'm just that busy, just working 7 days a week. It's just, as Mark will tell you, it's crazy at the moment. But
well, yeah, I would agree because I obviously used to work in a 9-to-5 job, and I think I see my wife less now, even though I'm in the house.
Yeah.
All day. Which is it's just the way it is, isn't it? But no, as Kenny says, it's good. It's nice to be in that situation. You know, I think it's good to work as well. I know it's hard. It is hard, but you know, it's good to feel you're working to achieve something, you know, significant. So that's what you got to take.
Yeah, definitely. You don't like you said, there's nothing to rely on anymore. There's no basic salary if I have a bad month, because obviously a lot of these jobs that I've had have been heavily commission based, but you still get a basic salary.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not consistent now. So my driving force is the fact that I need to I need to do business. So I might be sitting on the sofa at 10 o'clock at night, and a CV will ping through on my phone, and I'll go into the office and get the CV out to my client, because in that sort of game, it's first come, first serve. You've got to be the first one to get the CV. I'm not going to be at the attitude, I'll get that over in the morning, because I can't afford to miss out on any opportunities. So yeah, I've got the opportunities to finish early and go and see my boy or go and play golf or whatever it may be. But at the same time, I'll be at the computer till midnight. I'm regularly on the computer on a Sunday most of the day, just sort of catching up on emails and everything like that. So I'm definitely putting more in, but then obviously there's that flexibility that I can sort of control when and what time I sort of do things.
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. Yep. Right, so let's move on to the investing journey, Eddie. Obviously, what caught our eye was there was a thread that you've got as your pinned tweet on your Twitter page, and obviously that's a bit more recent. But I'm sure you can. When did you start investing? Was it 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, it was a while ago. So I'm 35. I turn 36 tomorrow. So if we get this podcast out tomorrow, guys, that's a nice present to myself.
What to you, Mark?
Yeah, there you go. There's a challenge. Get it out on my birthday. But I was probably early 20s, not entirely sure. I was definitely at BMW at the time. And I know I was at BMW at the time because obviously the journey took a twist when I met someone through working for BMW, but it was definitely early 20s. And I think the way that my investing journey start is going to be so incredibly similar to the way that most people investing journeys have started in this period we've had due to furlough and COVID, because there's absolutely no doubt that there has been an influx of new investors in the markets the last 3 months. I've spoken to a load, so I know that's the case. But you can just see the fresh money that's been coming in. But yeah, I can't remember how I got into it. It's either I read about it somewhere or talking to friends, but I certainly thought, well, I've got money in my bank. I didn't start small. Maybe that was my mistake. I actually started, I'm not sure how this sort of is the same as you guys, but I actually started by putting £15,000 into a share account.
Into one stock?
Not into one stock, just into the opening up account, and rather than messing around with 500 quid, I threw 15 grand in. And thought, yeah, let's do this. But that wasn't the wise thing to do at all. And what I found, and this is a big thing that I'm still a bit of an advocate for now, and find myself as the Batman of Twitter trying to clean it up, is I was, the term that everyone will know, I was ramped into stocks.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about the stocks, absolutely nothing. And this wasn't so much Twitter then. I don't even think I had Twitter then. Twitter might not even be about, I'm not sure. But we're talking the chat boards, LSE, Eddy, FB, I think the other one is called. And I would have no idea what to buy. I would do no research whatsoever. I would look at shares just by name or by how much they were up, and I'd look at the chat, and you'd read things like, this is going to the moon. Get on the train, you don't want to miss your ticket. Like choo-choo, like all these crazy phrases. And there's me thinking, oh, this must be going up. Like, these guys wouldn't be talking like this if the share wasn't going up. No way. This share's got to be going up. And I knew nothing about illiquid stocks, nothing about the only way you're able to sell your stock is if somebody wants to buy it, and if they don't want to buy it, you're not selling that stock. So I'd start throwing money into stocks at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% up, whatever they were. And then they were not going up anymore. And I'm thinking, hang on, these guys were saying these are going up. Why is it not going up? And then it would slowly drop. And I think, oh, no, I need to get out of this. This is ridiculous. But then I couldn't sell. And then certain shares I might be stuck in for a week, 2 weeks, because there's literally just no buyers because I bought a share that nobody wants or nobody's ever heard of. Or it would just drop like an absolute stone, and I'd sell sort of straight away. But I'd keep panicking, keep selling, keep not thinking, oh, maybe it's just dropping and it might go back up again. I had no idea. I was just sell. And before I knew it, I think that probably had £5,000 in it rather than the 15 grand that I started with. Might have even been less, but I just couldn't stop being burnt. I couldn't find a winner. Another story is I was speaking to a friend about it who was interested, and he said, well, take a different route. Why don't you look at what companies are due to release financials or some sort of news and invest in them before they release their financials the day before, whatever it may be. I was like, yeah, no, fine, I'll give that a try. The part then I didn't realize is people will buy on the rumor leading up to the financials. And as soon as the financials or whatever it is released, even if they're good, everybody sells. So then I was getting spiked in those situations. Well, I just could not. The point is, I could not stop getting spiked. And like I said, that 15 grand was just flying away. And I'm not saying the people that I speak to on Twitter are that sort of money. And there may be people out there. To them, it might be a few hundred, which is still a lot to them. But that I've got absolutely no doubt that people are still buying stocks on the back of what people are predicting and saying, posting, whether or not it's chat boards or Twitter. That's still going on, and it winds me up, and I call people out on it because I just feel where I got burnt so badly because of that. I look back at that now and see it still going on.
Yeah, and where are you calling people out on the chat board?
Yeah. I've had a few spats on Twitter, I suppose.
Right.
That's holding my tongue, should I say? And yeah, there's certainly been a few backwards and forwards on calling people out on
Right.
things like my pet hates are booms, rockets,
right,
the word multi-bagger, and price predictions when a share is 3p and people are saying 10p.
Right. Okay.
And I will. Yeah, I've called out. I probably don't do it as much anymore because what I don't want people to see on my timeline is constant arguing. Now I've got a few more followers, but when I didn't have that many followers, I was constantly calling out those accounts because the way I see it, and not all of them, but the way I see it is that these accounts are saying they're topping up, they're buying more, this is going to the moon. Well, they're selling while everyone else is buying. That's their way out.
Of course they are. Yeah. Do you find then that if you let's say call someone out or make a comment about it, do you then find that you get attacked that you're a Dramper? Why are you posting on here if you don't like the stock? Get out, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Yeah, you're straight away. You're a Dramper. Straight away, they get on the defensive side of things, and it turns into an argument. I will never ever. Yeah, I won't say anything bad about a stock. The conversations that I have with these people has got nothing to do with the stock. It may be a fantastic stock with great research, but the way they're posting is causing a knee-jerk reaction by investors like myself, like I used to be. And some of these accounts have got thousands of followers. Look, these followers might be not real. They might be robots. They might be whatever, but they'll still have, I mean, some of these, I've seen some of these accounts with 10, 11, 12, 13,000 people. Now, if a lot of those people are investing, I mean, these people are going to have some serious sway on a share, because if they're posting that this is 3p and I believe it's going to 6p, boom, rockets, everything, and these people that follow them are listening, then and they buy, that is going to have, especially if it's a stock that hasn't got many shares in issue and moves quickly on small volume, it is going to have a positive effect on the share. But like we just said, they'll be selling, and then these people will be buying and then waiting for it to go. All of a sudden it won't go, and then no one's buying the stock anymore, and now they're stuck. And anyone listening who is new, they've got to understand that this happens, and these people that they're listening to are only out for themselves. They genuinely are. You won't I'll post about what I'm invested in. I won't be posting any price predictions. People DM me for tips, I won't give it to them. So I've got no tips to give, because I'm not going to be responsible if the share goes down. So this is another reason why I wanted to do the podcast, because I really wanted to get the message across to people that are new that they've got to start trusting their own research, their own decisions, and not rely on following these major accounts on Twitter and what they say is going to go up.
Yeah, definitely. That's good advice, sound advice. Just jumping back to your investing journey, you covered the first part, but obviously you were getting caught in spikes, and your 15k was down to 5. At what point did you change strategy, or your mindset change, or was it one big winner that got you?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. My strategy never changed. It never changed for only till recently. Everything changed when I sold a car to an investment manager. And we got on really well, not too far in age, and just had a real strong connection. And he ended up being a fantastic customer of mine, and even a friend. Even to this day, we still speak. And when obviously we got talking, and I explained what I'd been doing, I mean, I think it was a look of disgust from him that made me realise that I shouldn't be doing this. And he sort of made a great point. He said, "Look, if I want to come and buy a car, I come to you and I get your advice about what it is that I need or what it is I should be looking at, because you're the expert. So you've gone into stocks and shares without speaking to anybody, without getting any sort of background knowledge or advice or anything like that. And that's the reason that you're in the position that you're in, which I completely agreed. The amazing part is after that, he then offered to take over my portfolio. So he asked me what I had left in money. I told him, and he said, "Give it to me. Invest it invest it with me, and I'll look after that money and hopefully grow it for you." And I trusted him, and it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made. I mean, the best purchase I had that he did for me is he bought Fever Tree at IPO at £1.70, and obviously sold some along the way, but the majority was sold over £30 of that stock. So
yeah, it's quite a.
It's
a £1 billion company now, isn't it? I think from memory.
It is indeed. There's not many stories that you can sort of say about that. So I'm not entirely sure about how much he made me, but it was a lot of money. And I pulled that money out very recently. I suppose I could see a bit of a downturn in the market, so I pulled that money from him February of this year, so just before everything happened with COVID. The reason I pulled that out is because I started doing it for myself again, and started making the same exact. So we're talking 10, 12, 13, 14 years on. 14 years on after watching what he did for me, 14 years of watching the markets, I still decided to do it for myself again about a year ago, and make the same mistakes that I made first time round. But this time with more money. So this time I had about £35,000 in. And when I took the money back from him that I had invested in with him, so this 35 grand was a separate pot. This was from a sale of a property that I had some money left over. So this separate pot, this pot was now worth £8,000 from 35.
Yeah, so it's not good. I mean, I've got a few horrific stories as well of a 6-figure portfolio turned into £3.48 over a period of 18 months. I mean, I've sold my soul in this podcast and told that story. You know, it's not pleasant, but there's tons of people out there, you know. And I walked away from the markets for 4 or 5 years. So I just wasn't interested, and it was only because, you know, I'm driven by money as well, and I said, I'm not going to get it working 95. You know, I need to do something different here. So I was kind of sucked back in, but I've come back slightly different. I was a bit of a trader back to 2008, 9, 10, 11, but I still do a wee bit. But most of the stocks now are sort of long-term holds, and I've not got the time to be sitting looking at the screens and, you know, watching all the news releases coming out. So it kind of suits me now.
Yeah, but, definitely. And the point that I get across a lot on Twitter, and now you can hear from the podcast after what I've told you, is that there are and like you've just said, there are so many losers out there. These, again, going back to these accounts with thousands of followers, they're only posting their winners. Yeah. Like any good gambler, like anyone that does horses or football, you only hear about the 10-to-1 horse that came in, or the 6-fold accumulator football that came in. You don't hear about the other 10 accumulators that didn't come in, or the other 20 horses that had lost before that. And I'm very, very big about telling my losses on Twitter, even now, because I still get losses. But people need to know that I was £27,000 down, ripping my hair out, just started a new business. That £27,000 for my new business is life-changing money. Like, if I hadn't have bothered going back into the market and had that £35,000 there, that would have supported me while I got my new business off the ground. But I didn't have that money. That money was now sitting there dead at £8,000. And the main reason it was dead is because I never sold the shares. That was one of my biggest mistakes that I've now corrected, is that if I see real heavy weakness in a share, I'll get out of it. Where before I could not bring myself to sell. Now I find selling really easy. I find selling when I'm up very hard. Still, that's not going to change. When I'm up on a share, I find it impossible to sell. I'm too greedy. That's a big downfall of mine.
Yeah, you hold on to it.
Yeah, I hold on to it way too long. But when a share's dropping, it's the easiest thing in the world to sell. Even if it's $2,000 down, I could have got $2,000 out of the cash machine and put a lighter against it and got rid of it. But I can do it so quickly with ease when I'm $2,000 down. The other way, I find it very difficult. But the reason I find it so easy to sell out when I'm on a loss is because of the mistakes I made before. Just kept holding, hoping it would recover, and it wasn't, and it just kept lower and lower and lower. And like we spoke about before, oil and gas.
I suppose as well, a lot of these, I don't invest in oil and gas at all. Very, very, very rarely. It's just. It just scares me. I don't really understand it either, to be honest. I've not spent enough time looking into oil and gas, but the cash piles that these companies have, they can have millions in the bank. They drill one hole in an oil field or potential oil field, and it's gone. It's a duster, and you've seen some of these share price crashes. If they announce a duster, it's not good.
Frightening, isn't it? It's frightening, and what attracts people is the volatility. I get that. I get that these companies can move at a frightening rate just purely on rumor, whether or not they've got any oil or not. I mean, prime example is UCOG trading at 0.20 of a penny, if my memory serves me correctly. I mean, that was pushing on to 20p with absolutely no sign of whether or not it has oil or not. Just pure speculation, sentiment that was pushing that up, and there'll be many people that still hold stock over 10p that may never see that again. Look, touch wood, and hopefully they do. But that was me. I'd be buying all these oil firms, not necessarily their top price. It might have gone up for a bit and I didn't sell. But like you said, as soon as there's a placing or there's a duster or whatever it may be, the fall in an oil and gas company is frightening, absolutely frightening, and you still see it now.
Yeah, I mean, in stock, I mean, they can go out into a rock chip sampling program or a small drilling program. If the results are not great, the share price might drop, but it won't crash, especially if they've got 2 or 3 projects or other targets within that project. They seem to be insulated a bit. You still get major crashes in some of these mining companies, especially if it's been a massive program and they've hit nothing. But it seems to, the mining stocks seem to fare better, definitely, than oil and gas. So so just obviously you've had a ton of fortune in recent months. Can you kind of summarise that for us?
Yeah, I suppose that.
5 minutes.
Yeah, no, very much so, and I suppose that's I've been. I always say I'm lucky. I say that because I am part-time in investing and trading, so it isn't down to my superior knowledge of the markets, or I know there's many people out there that buy and sell shares based on charts. I don't do charts. I've got no idea how to do a chart. So a lot of it is down to timing and luck. But I took a big punt. So when I got this money back from the investment manager, just before the market sort of had that real downturn in March or February or March, I took the risk of putting it all back into my vesting account. I felt at this point, I wouldn't say I was ready, but I felt I'd made so many mistakes and done so many things wrong that I've got to be able to now learn from these mistakes and turn them around. And I think I had roughly about £45,000, something like that. So I would have, so that went in, and I cut ties on all of those shares. I thought, you know what, I'm not waiting and hoping that these shares are going to come back to the £35,000. Let me sell them up. Let me take the £8,000 because it's something, put it together with the rest of this money, and at least try and get some money back. So my break-even point was £75,000. So I was about £30,000 down, and I put a little put a little post-it note up next to me on my desk, £75,000, and that was going to be my target, to get this 30 grand back, which would change my life, because it was 30 grand that I'd effectively written off. And I just timed it. Yeah, I suppose I just timed it perfectly. I started doing really, really heavy research into stocks that were involved with COVID-19, and we're all aware of this COVID-19 bubble that we've been in and still in at the moment. But I really started to look at those stocks because they were seriously driven by volume, sentiment, and that's the big thing I sort of look for if I'm going to trade a stock. I really look for a stock that's got the volume, got the sentiment, and has really got the wind behind its sails. And I first started getting results with some of the testing companies. I bought a Vector, which I still own, at about 40p, and at one point that was over £2. ODX Amiga, I bought at 20p. And that went up to sort of 80, 90p. So I really started to get some wins in, and out of nowhere, I was sort of putting decent amounts in. I wasn't going too crazy, but I was putting anywhere between sort of 5 and 10 grand into these stocks, and sort of watching them certainly go out quickly. And before I knew it, I hit the 75 grand. I hit the money that I want, but then it kept going up higher, and then before I knew it, I hit 90 grand, and then you start getting cocky, and then you start, this is easy, like this is like why I've learned from my mistakes. Why didn't I do this sooner? Like, I'm picking all the right stocks, and that's when I go back into what I mentioned before when I said that I was holding on to stocks too long, because these stocks that I bought at lows, I was still believing that they had a long way to go, and they still potentially do have a long way to go, but they then started dropping, and I wasn't selling it. So it wasn't that I was losing money, I was losing profit that I'd made. And before I knew it, I think the lowest my portfolio went back down to was about 65 grand. So that's now another 30 grand swing from the highs of £95,000. And this is another important thing that people need to know, that the swings in the stock market are ruthless. I mean, they really do. Like I said, if you hold on and hold on and hold on, like I said, it just takes any amount of news just to plummet a share, and all that profit that was just sitting there, because it is just it's a paper loss or a paper win until you sell. So me looking at 95 grand as my portfolio, it never was 95 grand because I'd never sold anything.
Yeah.
So that £95,000 that was sitting in there was just a paper win, because I was holding on to the shares, and these shares were dropping, or I do a bad trade. And like I said, the portfolio dropped heavily again below where my break-even point was again. So again, I was still making the same mistakes. Going back to a few big winners, which have happened recently, which is obviously why you contacted me. And it's quite funny, because one big-ish win certainly had a knock-on effect to the next big win. And I'll give you an example. So I invested in Tom, ticker code TOM.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago, when it went on a run for 2 days. I got in about 0.50, 0.55, something like that. Again, a fairly decent amount. And it went all the way up to I think the highest it went to was about 1.40 within the space of 2 days. Now, again, the naivety side of me was, this is going to keep going. It's got sentiment, it's got volume. This is clearly something big's happening here. Where's this going to go? At this point, when it was about 1.3, 1.40, I did a dummy sell just to make sure that there was still opportunity to sell the share. and I was £20,000 up. £20,000 up in 2 days, which is a huge amount of money that I would never see. And I didn't take that sell, and not long after that, maybe an hour or so, it dwindled down a little bit. They released a speeding ticket. For those that don't know what a speeding ticket is, it's a slang term. The company basically announcing that they don't know any reason why the share price is going up this amount. And when that happens, a share will just absolutely bomb, and you'll keep hitting dummy sells, and it will be near on impossible to sell. Look, I can't moan. I still did well out of it. I think I managed to sell in the end, and I think I took about £8,000 profit out of it. So still very good, still money I'd never see again.
Yeah.
But it's 12 grand of a swing that I was up. And this had a knock-on effect to last week when I had a result with SNG, Synergen. So I have been in Synergen in and out for months. I've known about this company for ages, always been a big fan. Got in originally months ago at like 30p, went up to 60, 70p, trading in and out of it. And about a couple of weeks ago, I jumped back in again at 35p, put 10 grand in because I knew that results weren't that far away from their clinical trials in the hospitals. And that can go either way. So it was always a risk. I've always got a risk of losing that amount, because if the trials were not good, then obviously it would have only gone one way. But the results were good, and it opened up at about £1.10. Stayed there for a little bit and started to dwindle away to £1. Did a dummy sell again, and I was 20 grand up, very similar to what happened to me at Tomco. And I thought, you know what, I'm not making the same mistake twice. I'm not throwing away £20,000 profit. So I sold it, which is amazing. 20 grand, unbelievable. It finished, or intraday, it went to about £2.40. I think I worked out if I would have had the balls to stay in it, I would have been 50 grand up. But it was that previous week with the other share where I didn't sell. So everything, my point is, everything has a knock-on effect. Everything will play in your mind. Everything will, and it really takes, some serious willpower, whatever you want to call it, to stay in a share and really ride these the heights that they go up to.
It does.
But one thing that I'll always remember, that someone always said to me, that people will know the saying, and it sort of will always make you feel better, is always leave someone in for the next person. Always leave something in for the next investor.
Then, end of the day, your bank profits, that's got to be the bigger picture. You made a profit. Nobody is ever going to be able to sell at the highest price, in every riser. It's just you plan your exit route. If you get a chance to take it, you take it. If it goes up another 50%, it's just the way it is.
It's the way it is.
You've just got to take a profit, and averages out. You'll get some right, you'll get some wrong, but as long as you bank some profit, I think that's it.
The thing is, someone said to me, if you bank any profit, then you've won. It's plain and simple. You've won at the markets in that particular trade. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong whether you've made £100 or you've made £100,000. You've won. And 9 out of 10 people will not win in the stock market. Yeah. And I think that's really key. Another thing someone said to me, it's probably the same guy actually, and I haven't actually done this, but if you get a winner, take your money and go and do something with it. Go and buy something or do something with it.
That's great advice.
Because then you're putting your wins into something tangible that you can see or feel or whatever. And if you're into cars, go and buy a car if you want, or whatever. But I think it's just the point to lock in that and give yourself that reward, that recognition, if you like, that you have won in that particular scenario. Because like you say, I was listening to you talking, and I was sort of like, oh no, I hope you did learn on the last one, which is good. Because that I think learning to take profits and sell is It is tough, but it's something that I've learnt. And I don't think you can always look on and think, oh, well, if I'd held on, I could have made it with 100% or whatever. But there's not much point in thinking like that. You've got to sort of think, you've made profit, you have won in that scenario. It's better than losing.
No, I completely agree. And honestly, I'm still like, I'll hold my hands up. I'm still terrible at it. Like, honestly, really, really bad. Like I can sell something at a loss so easy, but when it's going up, I am absolutely horrendous. So yeah, if you're out there and you're really bad at selling when you're in profit, you're genuinely not the only one. I am envious of those that can just go in and out really quickly, make 300, 400, 500, 10 grand, whatever it is, and not look back. Not go back and check the share price and see what it does. Because I go back and check the share price. Like, of course I will. And that's something that I need to.
What is it then? Do you think, Eddie? Do you get a feeling inside you that prevents you from putting that sell button, or what do you think it is?
Honestly, I've got absolutely no idea. You know what it is? It's probably me being so naive and greedy, thinking that this is going to be the next Fever Tree or ASOS or. Whatever share it's been that has just gone from a stupidly low amount to a crazy high amount where you've got 10 grand in and all of a sudden you can retire. I mean, I've just got to get that mindset out of my head, because those sorts of shares just come by in a blue moon.
Yeah.
And this is why I feel this podcast is so important, because these shares are popping up so frequently at the moment that it is, I've literally never seen anything like it. I mean, the amount of 100% plus rises that I saw last week alone was mind blowing. And the market's not like that. And all these people that are new to it, I just don't want them to get into the mindset that this is what happens. Because taking one share in particular that I was in, because as I said before, I do trade on volume and sentiment. And I traded MBO, which did 1,100% in one day last week. Did 1,100% in one day. Now, I rode it from about 16p and I got out about 13p and made about 3-4 grand. For once, I had my head switched on, but it went to 50p or maybe just shy or just over, and then it released a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
But the amount of people that jumped in at 40p plus when the share had already done 700-800% is mental.
No, it's
now,
nuts.
These people can only be jumping in because they're reading somewhere that this is going to continue going further. Like, you don't just look at a share that's 700% and go, oh yeah, that looks interesting. That looks.
There's also the psychological thing. Sorry, Kenny. There's a psychological thing, isn't there? Of you're more likely to buy a stock that's green and or blue, whatever it is, when it's up and going, than you are when it's down in the doldrums. When really, it actually should be the opposite. You should be applying
complete opposite.
But some people do, Eddie. Some people will only buy a particular share when it's, as you say, it's up 100% and up 150%. That's just human nature, and you'll never change that.
Yeah,
it's just.
Where is the sort of the hype today? I mean, obviously COVID, and you said it before. There's a bubble, and I think it's very important to be aware that there is a bubble. Obviously, that is very hyped at the moment, that whole COVID space, and a lot of farmers are doing quite well, and as you say, newbies are perhaps making quite a bit of money on it, but that won't last. I mean, it can't.
No.
But of course, you've also got all this QE, and well, I'm a bit of a believer that there is a general bubble anyway, and this quantitative easing is only going to increase that bubble further, putting more liquidity into the markets. But where are you seeing the kind of the craziness recently?
You've just hit the nail on the head. It's 100% the COVID side of things and the farm. But it's not taking anything away from those companies. I'm not saying that those companies aren't worth the share price that they're currently at, because there's certainly some testing is still way down where it should be, where it needs to be in order to get the economy going and getting the world moving again. So these companies that are involved in the testing side of things, I'm not saying for one second that they're overvalued or whatever it may be, because they've probably got even more value to add. but it's definitely there. I mean, any sort of hype, any sort of talk of Twitter will always be a COVID company. I mean, it's very rare that it's outside of the COVID bubble at the moment.
Yeah, and do you think there's a lot of new money coming in as well, perhaps with people who are new to the markets, either because they find themselves with time on their hands and perhaps getting paid still, that there's actually a lot of fresh, new novice money coming in?
Exactly. And that's why I felt that I turned into this Batman of Twitter, because I just felt that there was a huge influx. And I think a lot of the people that follow me at the moment are new investors. Like I said, I get the thread did very well. Lots of nice messages and likes. And I still get, like I said to you before, I still get DMs now. And there's definitely, but I'm still hearing the same thing. A lot of them are saying that they're getting burnt. I mean, they're not there'll be a lot of great stories out there of new investors making money. But I've had a lot of messages from people saying that we haven't gone into financials, but I've got a lot of people reading the thread and then saying I've been burnt recently. Because the thing is, if you're investing in the stock market for the first time, like I did, not knowing much about it and jumping on shares going up and bandwagons, it's the guys that have been in it years that are profiting from that. They're the ones that know when to get in and out. The people that are new to it, like I was, don't know when to get in and out, don't know when a great time to buy and when a great time to sell is, and they're still getting burnt now, and that will continue to happen if you follow the wrong accounts on Twitter, or if you just listen to the accounts and go in blind buying something just because of what someone has said. Research, if you're going to be keeping a share for a certain amount of time, is always going to win over just sort of jumping in. Yeah, listen, I'm still guilty of buying shares with knowing very little on it, but those shares I'm looking to get a quick buck out of. So MBO, which you mentioned, I knew nothing about that company before the news came out about it. So they're so yeah, I jumped on the back of that one just based on that. And there's been other companies that I've jumped on when they've released good news, just to get in and out as quickly as I can and make a little bit of money out of it. So yeah, that's been my strategy in terms of investing, and that's been my sorry, I've got the dog barking in the background now.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah, you can hear him. Yeah, English bulldog. Hearing something. That's been my strategy in terms of investing. In terms of trading. Investing, it's completely different ball game. That'll be researching and not worrying about when I bought the share, because it's something that I'm going to lock away and then hopefully in a good few months' time reap the rewards for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've heard that. I mean, one good statement, I mean, it's you've got to hate every share you invest in. Don't fall in love with your shares. Hate every share, and then it's easy to sell when you're in profit. So that's a mindset that some people.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because otherwise you can get emotionally attached to a share, can't you?
Yeah,
I've done that
definitely.
before. What would be,
and I still do. I still hold my hands up. I'm definitely emotionally attached to Avacta. I think they're an amazing company in what they're doing for COVID and the cancer side of things. So I'm emotionally attached to them, and it shows because I invested at 40p or less. It went up over £2, and it's now around £1.40, and I haven't sold because I believe, me personally, not a tip, I believe that they go a lot higher because an instant saliva test, if successful, is exactly what we need at the moment. I think we've all seen the videos of the uncomfortable nose swabs that they're doing at the moment in order to get find out whether or not someone has COVID. So I think an instant saliva test that will be, like you said, going on holiday, returning back to work on site, wherever it may be. just having these tests there to be getting an instant answer on somebody will be game changing. So I thoroughly believe in the company, which is why I'm still invested. So there is still love affairs for myself with stocks.
So I think you should. I think Eddy, you should perhaps maybe change your profile picture, or maybe your head, or whatever they call it, to the bat wings or whatever. The Batman skylight, whatever it is. If you sort of putting yourself about the sort of Batman of Twitter, what would perhaps be, I don't know, a final thought perhaps for newbies on into the stock market investing?
Yeah, I mean, and this is, I suppose, the reason why we do this. We're doing this today. Yeah, it's great to hear my journey, but at the same time, I really do feel I just don't want people making similar mistakes that I made, and I just, like I've said many a time, you just be really mindful and careful of who you listen to. Yeah, there's loads of good people out there. I speak to many people, whether or not it be Telegram or Twitter, on a daily basis, and we bat ideas off each other. But that's what we're doing. We're batting ideas off each other, and batting companies off each other, and we're discussing those companies in detail. That's absolutely fine. Like, if you trust somebody and you value their opinion, that's absolutely fine. But just following an account who's quite simply just putting up a ticker code and saying this is going to fly, this is going to go mental, all the lines, the MMs are fishing for your shares, great time to top up. Like, just there's so many lines that these accounts use to fool you into buying. You've got to be careful. And what I've started doing that people really appreciate, and again, I've had so many DMs about it, is at the end of the week, I say where my portfolio is at. So if I've had a bad week and my portfolio is 10 grand down, I'll say I'm 10 grand down. I'm not one of these amazing investors that constantly makes money up every week. Yeah, I'm on a great run at the moment, and the portfolio is as good as it's ever been, thanks to last week. But I will always tell my losses. And those accounts that you're following that only say their wins, I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about who you should be following, then there's nothing that's going to help you. Because, like you said, if everyone should be honest. Everyone should. If you made a bad trade and you're promoting your trades on your Twitter, then you should be honest and give your bad trades.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. All right. Well, it's been great to have you on, Eddy. And probably get you back on again, maybe in a couple of months. Tell us how you're getting on. Where your portfolio's at, and I'll certainly keep an eye on your Twitter page for updates. But no, I think that's probably about an hour we've been talking. So I think. You'll probably be needing another beer now.
The beers. Yeah, I probably need another one. One thing I just wanted to add is my DMs are open. So if anyone off the back of this has questions or can relate to anything I said and want to discuss it, whatever it may be, then I'm happy. I respond to anyone. Anyone will say, whoever sent me a message I responded to. Just don't ask me for any share tips, because I won't give you that.
Okay.
No problem. Right. Appreciate the time anyway, Eddy.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Eddy.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another podcast from Market Musings with Fairbairn and Russell. Tune in next time.